What's up guys, this is Massey. Welcome to another video. In this video I want to show you how to solve quadratic equations, and I have 11 word problems. Basically there are applications of quadratic equations. Let's start from the first one. The first one, it says the path of a soccer can be modeled by the function h equals to negative 0.025 d squared plus d, where h is ball's height in meters and d is the horizontal distance of the ball from the place on the ground where it was kicked in meters. Determine the horizontal distance that the ball traveled by factoring. So basically we have h equals to negative 0.025 d squared plus d. If you want to factor it, we have d common between these two terms. So I'm going to factor d in here. Negative 0.025d plus 1. And it says determine the horizontal distance that the ball traveled. It means that if we consider the graph something like that, and we are interested into find out the distance between the two x-intercepts. So basically a 2 x-intercept height is gonna be 0 because the ball is gonna be on the ground. So we're gonna make h equals to 0. So we have d times negative 0.025d plus 1 equals to 0. So we have two possible answers. One of them d equals to 0, which is right from the beginning, and the other one is gonna be 0.025d plus 1 equals to 0. Then we solve it. We move 1 to the right hand side. Then we can say d equals to negative 1 over negative 0.025. Negative divided by negative is going to be positive, and the answer is going to be 40 meters. So the distance it travels is, I'm going to say the horizontal distance that the ball traveled is 40 meters. You always, for application questions, you always need to write a statement at the end. This is basically the conclusion. The final answer shouldn't be just a number. You need to write something like a conclusion or therefore statement. Let's look at the next example. Next example, it says the width of a rectangle is 2 meters less than the length. The area of the rectangle is 48 square meter. Find the dimensions of the rectangle. So the rectangle is something like this, length and width, and you know the area of the rectangle is length times width. Here it says the width of the rectangle is 2 meters less than the length. It means that L minus 2 is gonna be the width. So, and the area is given, so L times W is 48, which means that L times L minus 2 is 48. Then I distributed L times L is going to be L squared. L times negative 2 is going to be negative 2L equals to 48. You move everything to the left hand side. We have the quadratic equation, standard form. We need to solve it. We can solve it either by factoring or by quadratic formula. Let's solve it by quadratic formula. Quadratic formula: a is 1, b is negative 2, c is negative 48. So negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, which is going to be negative b is going to be positive 2 plus minus negative 2 squared, which is going to be 4 minus 4 times 1 times negative 48 divided by 2 times 1. Alright, now let's simplify that. That's going to be 4. Negative times negative is going to be positive. 4 times 1 times 48 is going to be 192. Divided by 2 times 1, which is 2. So it's going to be 2 plus minus square root of 196 over 2. Square root of 196 is going to be 14. Let's double check. Yep, that's 14. 2 plus minus 14 divided by 2 So we have two possible answers. One of them is 2 plus 14 divided by 2. One of them 2 minus 14 divided by 2. So that's going to be 16 divided by 2 is 8. Negative 12 divided by 2 is going to be negative 6. So we have two answers, 8 and negative 6. But physically, we don't have any length in negative. So negative, we cannot accept negative 6 in here. So we can accept only 8. So we solve it for L. So it means the length is 8. So W, since it's L minus 2, is going to be 6. So we're going to say that the length is 8 meters and width is 6 meters. That's it. Next example. In this example, it says the width of the rectangle is 1 meter less than the length. The area of 672 square meter. Find the length and width. So again, we have it like that. Length, width. L times W is area. In this case, L times W is 72. It says the width of the rectangle is 1 meter less than. So it's basically W equals to L minus 1. So we can say L times L minus 1 equals to 72. You multiply L times L, L squared. L times negative 1, negative L equals to 72. We move it to the left hand side, L squared minus L minus 72 equals to 0. Now we can use both quadratic equations or factoring. Let's use factoring this time. We are looking for two numbers, multiply to negative 72 and add to negative 1. What two numbers we can get? We can find out negative 9 and positive 8. When you add them, it's going to be negative 1. When you multiply them, it's going to be negative 72. So we're going to write it as L squared minus 9L plus 8L minus 72 equals to 0. Then you factor it. It's going to be L times L minus 9 plus 8 times L minus 9 equals to 0. So it's going to be L minus 9 times L plus 8 equals to 0. So you have two answers. L equals to 9, L equals to negative 8. Again, we cannot accept negative 8, we accept 9. So length is 9 meter and width, since it's 1 less than length, is going to be 8 meters. Pretty straightforward. Next example. During a field goal attempt, the function h equals to negative 0.02 d squared plus 0.9 d models the height, h in meters, of a football in terms of the horizontal distance. D is in terms of meters from where ball is kicked. Find out the horizontal distance the ball travels until it first hits the ground. This is very similar to the first example. So h negative 0.02 d squared plus 0.9 d. That has to be equal to 0, and then we solve it. We need to find out 2 d's, and the distance between these 2 d's is going to be the whole distance it travels. So I'm going to basically factor it. It's going to be d time d is going to be 0, and here negative 0.02 d plus 0.9 equals to 0. So we have d equals to negative 0.9 over negative 0.02. That's going to be 45 meters. So we have two answers, 0 meter and 45 meters. So basically, it means that the horizontal distance the ball travels until it first hits the ground is 45 meters. That's it. Next example. The length of a rectangle is 5 centimeter greater than twice the width. The area is 33 centimeters square. Find the dimensions. Okay, so that's rectangle. Length, width. It says the length of the rectangle is 5 centimeter greater than twice. Let's convert it, the English wording to mathematical wording. L, length, is 5 greater than twice the width. So L equals to 5 plus 2W. That's the relationship between length and W. The area is 33, so L times W is 33. So now, instead of L, I'm gonna put 5 plus 2W equals to 33. Then expand it, 5 times W plus 2W squared equals to 33. If we rewrite it, 2W squared plus 5W minus 33 equals to 0. Let's use quadratic formula. A is 2, B is 5, C is negative 33. So negative B plus minus square root of B squared minus 4AC divided by 2A. So that's going to be negative 5 plus minus B squared is 25 minus 4 times 2 times negative 3 divided by 2 times A. Then it's going to be negative 5 plus minus 25. Negative times negative is going to be positive. 4 times 2 times 33 is going to be 2, 6, 4 divided by 4. Negative 5 plus minus 264 plus 25 is going to be 289 divided by 4. So the square root of 289 is 17. So it's going to be negative 5 plus minus 17 over 4. If you consider plus, negative 5 plus 17 divided by 4, that's 3. Negative 5 minus 17 divided by 4 is going to be negative 5.5. So we cannot accept the second one, we accept only the first one. So the width is going to be 3. So length is going to be, we can use either this formula or this formula to find out the length. Length is going to be 33 divided by 3, which is 11. Or we can say 5 plus 2 times 3, 6 plus 5 is going to be 11. So length is going to be 11 centimeter and width is going to be 3 centimeter. We can write at the end that length is 11 centimeter and width is 3 centimeter. Next example. In this example, it says the hypotenuse of a right triangle measures 10 meters. Okay, it means that we are dealing with a right triangle. Hypotenuse is 10 meters. One of the two sides is 2 meters longer than the other one. Find the unknown side length. Okay, one of them is 2 meters longer. So if we say this one is x, this one's supposed to be x plus 2. So we need to use Pythagorean theorem. X squared plus x plus 2 squared equals to 10 squared, which is going to be x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals to 10 squared, which is 100. So 2x squared plus 4x plus 4 minus 100 is going to be 0. So 2x squared plus 4x minus 96 equals to 0. You can factor 2 in here, x squared plus 2x minus 48. Let's use factoring method to solve it. We are looking for two numbers, multiply to negative 48 and add to 2, which is going to be 8 and negative 6. So it's going to be 2 times x squared plus 8x minus 6x minus 48 equals to 0. So that's going to be x times x plus 8, negative 6x plus 8 equals to 0. Therefore, it's going to be 2 times x minus 6 times x plus 8 equals to 0. So x minus 6 equals to 0. Therefore, x is 6. X plus 8 is 0. Therefore, x equals to negative 8. So this is going to be the acceptable answer. So it's going to be 6 meters. So one of them is going to be 6 meters and The other one is going to be 8 meters. So the two length is going to be 6 and 8 in here, which makes sense because 6 squared plus 8 squared is supposed to be 10 squared. This is the final answer. Next example. The hypotenuse of the right triangle has a length of 13 centimeter. The sum of the length of the other side is 17 centimeter. Find the unknown length. So again, we are dealing with a right triangle. The hypotenuse is always opposite to the 90 degrees, which is always the largest side. That's 13 centimeter. These two, x and y, when you add them, is going to be 17. So x plus y is going to be 17. So we can say y equals to 17 minus x. So x squared plus 17 minus x squared equals to 13 squared. So we have x squared plus 17 squared plus x squared minus 2 times 17 times x equals to 13 squared. X squared, 17 squared is going to be 289, double check, yeah, 289 plus x squared minus 34x, and the 13 squared is 169. X squared, 2x squared. Negative 34x plus 289 minus 169 equals to 0. So that's going to be 2x squared minus 34x plus 120 equals to 0. Now, in order to make it easier, we need to factor 2 here. It's not necessary, but it is going to make it a lot easier if you do that. So now we can use both quadratic equation or we can use factoring method. Let's use factor method. Let's see what two numbers. It's going to give us 60. And when you add them, it's going to be negative 17. So basically, let's check. Can we do 10 and 6? No. 12 and 5? Yeah, 12 and 5 is going to work. So negative 12 and negative 5, when you multiply them, it's going to be positive 60. And when you add them, it's going to be negative 17. So 2 times x minus 12 times x minus 5 equals to 0. Therefore, we have two numbers, 12 and 5. So basically that matches in here because 12 plus 5 is going to be 17. X is 12 and the other one is 5, or 5 and 12, doesn't matter. So this is going to be the final answer. You're going to write down at the end that the unknown side lengths are 5 and 12 centimeters. Don't forget to write the unit at the end. Next example. The height of the triangle is 2 meters more than the base. The area is 17.5 meters squared, or square meter. Find the length of the base. Okay. We don't know what kind of triangle we have. We know height and base relationship. Height of the triangle is equal sign 2 meters more than base. The area of the triangle is b times h divided by 2 is 17.5, which means the b times h is 17.5 times 2. That's going to give us 35 square meter. Now instead of h, I'm going to put 2 plus b. So b times 2 plus b equals to 35. So 2b plus b squared equals to 35, which means that b squared plus 2b minus 35 equals to 0. Again, we can use quadratic formula or factoring. Factoring is a lot easier. We are looking for two numbers multiplied to negative 35 and add to 2, which is going to be 7 and negative 2. 7 and negative 2. So it's going to be b squared plus 7 negative 5. Did I say negative 2? It's negative 5 I meant. Because 7 times negative 5 is going to be negative 35. When you add them, it's going to be positive 2. So it's going to be like that, like that. You factor here. Just need to write it quickly. Save some time. So one answer here, b plus 7 times b minus 5 equals to 0. It means that either this one is 0 or this one is 0, because you know 0 times any other expression is going to be 0. So when b plus 7 is 0, it means that b is negative 7. When b minus 5 is 0, it means that b equals to positive 5. So I'm going to say b equals to positive 5. And h, height is 2 greater than b, is going to be 2 plus b is going to be 7. What's the unit? Meters. So base is 5 meters, h is 7 meters. Next example. The area of a rectangle field is 2275 square meter. The field is enclosed by 200 meters of fencing. What are the dimensions? Okay, so basically the length, the area and the perimeter of this rectangle is given. If there's length and width, L times W is going to be the area, which in this case is 2275 square meter. And the perimeter or circumference is L plus W plus L plus W. So 2 times L plus W is going to be 200, which means that if you divide both sides by 2, it's going to be L plus W equals to 200 divided by 2 is 100. So now, instead of W, I can write 100 minus L. So we sub it there, L times 100 minus L equals to 2275. 100 times L, 100 L. L times negative L squared equals to 2275. So negative L squared plus 100L minus 2275 equals to 0. A is negative 1, B is 100, C is negative 2275. Let's use quadratic formula. Negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a, which means negative 100 plus minus 100 squared is 10,000 minus 4 times negative 1 times negative 2275 over 2 times a, like that. So negative 100 plus minus negative 4 times negative is going to be negative. So 4 times 2275, it is going to be 10,000 minus 9100. That's going to make it 900 divided by negative 2, which is going to be negative 100 plus minus square root of 900 is 30 divided by negative 2. So one answer is going to be negative 100 plus 30 divided by negative 2. Negative 100 minus 30 divided by negative 2. That's going to be negative 70. Negative 70 divided by 2 is going to be positive 35. Negative 130 divided by negative 2 is going to be positive 65. We solved it for L. So we have two possible answers. Look at the relationship between L and W. If L is 35, W is going to be 65. If we assume that width is always less than the length, we cannot accept this one. However, if length is 65, the width is going to be 100 minus 65, which is 35. So that looks acceptable. So length is 65 meters and width is 35 meters. That's it. Next example. The sum of squares of two consecutive even integers. Two consecutive even integers is 452. If we assume that we have two integers, it says determine the integers. Sum of squares, so is x squared plus y squared is going to be 452. It says one of them is 2 greater than the other, so y will be x plus 2. So it's going to be x squared plus x plus 2 squared equals to 452. That's going to give me x squared plus 2, 2 times x plus 4 equals to 452. That's going to be 2x squared plus 4x plus 4 equals to 452, which means that 2x squared plus 4x equals to 4 minus 452 is going to be 448 equals to 0. Now I'm going to factor 2 here. It's going to make it much easier. 2 to 4 equals to 0. Now let's use quadratic formula. A is 1, B is 2, c is negative 2, 2, 4. So negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac divided by 2a. That's going to be negative b plus minus 4 minus 4 times 1 times negative 2, 2, 4 divided by 2 times 1. That's going to be negative 2 plus minus 4 plus 4 times 2 to 4 is going to be 900 divided by 2. That will be negative 32 divided by 2. Here is going to be positive 28 divided by 2, 14 and negative 16. Let's see which one is acceptable. We solve it for x. And we know y is going to be x plus 2. So if x is 14, y will be 16. If x is negative 16, y will be negative 14. Both of them are acceptable. So the answer is going to be 14 and 16 or negative 16 and negative 14. Why? Because the question didn't say if they are positive or negative. If they were saying that two consecutive positive even integers, you would say 14 and 16 is going to be the only answer. But if it says negative 1, you have negative 16 and negative 14. In this case, we have only, it says two consecutive even integers. So the answer is going to be either 16 and negative 14 or 14 and 16. Let's look at the final question. Final question, it says the function h equals to negative 0.04 d squared plus 0.8 d models the height of the soccer ball, h in meters in terms of the horizontal distance, d in terms of meters, from where the ball kicks. How far does the ball travel horizontally through the air until it first hit the ground? So again, h is going to be 0. We had similar question before like that, so we need to make it equal to 0, and then you factor d in here. So one answer is going to be d equals to 0, the other answer is going to be this one equals to 0. So d is going to be negative 0.8 divided by, it's going to be 20 meters. So the distance it travels is 20 meters. Ball traveled horizontally. This is the final answer. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. You can have access to other videos regarding math, calculus, chemistry, and physics. If you have any question, please leave me a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching and have a great day.